Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2023 PGA Championship at Oak Hill. This is my Milli-Maker pick show where I'm going to go through the entire field. We're going to do a bunch of analysis. I'm going to give you my top 25 picks, give you some ideas on who you might want to play, and maybe some bet ideas and to fill out those lineups for the Milli-Maker. With all that said, thank you for stopping by. Give me about 45 minutes. We'll get through all this information. Let's go jump over to Fantasy National and do some analysis. Okay, I've hopped over to Fantasy National, and as always, if you're putting any money from a DFS side or betting and want to do some of your own analysis, I highly recommend this tool. I've been using it for, about 8 years now. And just if you've not seen this before, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of what we're going to be looking at. A 24-round sample size, so a recent form, kind of looking at that information. Over here, you've got a bunch of areas that you can put on filters, which I don't need to do that. I've already done a lot of pre-work for you. And we're going to be using Draftkings pricing for this. And what you're going to notice, which if you've been with me a while, typically this looks a little different, but I've actually pulled in two 5-stroke gain category mini models because there's quite a bit of analysis that I want to see, and I can very quickly show you how these guys rank out. And so what you're looking at on the left side is more the ball striking side. So off the tee, ball striking approach, that proximity of 200 plus, which I mentioned we're estimating that comes in around 25% of the time. And then fairways gained, as I mentioned on the preview show, some gnarly rough. We're going to need these guys to hit some fairways to have opportunities to not only make par, but maybe even a birdie. And then on the right side, which is a little unique, usually I show you birdies or bogey avoidance, whatever. This time I wanted to show you what these guys have done from a putting perspective, around the green and sand saves. So you get to pull in the short game side. And then as always, you get to see recent results. How have these guys done or fared over the last 5 tournaments they played in? And then how have they done at the PGA Championship also over the past 5 years if they played in it. And I've identified 25 players that I'm interested in. Now, of course, there's going to be some more. I kind of mentioned in the preview show that I see kind of making some different builds because I have not totally jumped down one way or the other if this is going to be a pure, ball striking course. Is it going to be, it's going to be a mix. I got to do everything. But as I'm making lineups, I think I want to kind of build some guys that hit a lot of fairways, really good with the irons, but have a really strong short game. And then flop that over to, hey, there's also, I want to put in a ball strikers lineup, maybe a bombers lineup. So with that said, but I have fallen on kind of the core group of guys that I'm going to be using. All right, right off the bat, we're going to take the 10,000 to 11,000 and kind of lump those guys all into one. And you've got 5 players with Jon Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, you got Rory, Colin, and Brooks, which is pretty interesting, right? Because when Brooks, the last time we had him at the Masters, I believe he was in the 8,000 range, maybe 8,900. That's what I remember. Now, I could be wrong. So he was kind of a steal at that time. Now his prices went quite a bit up, and we have to kind of think about playing him or not, because then you're making decisions over guys that we know definitely, at least from a player perspective and history and what they can do, at least equal or rival Brooks. But it is the PGA, and he has won 2 of them back to back. All right, so if we just break this down by the 11,000 range, really you've got a decision to make between Jon Rahm and Scotty Scheffler. And this is why I like this. It gives you a real quick understanding of what these guys do well. And as you can see, the ball striking both are elite. The fairways gained out of this, Scotty is definitely doing a little better. He's ranked 22 out of this 156-man field, where you've got Mr. Rahm coming at 85th. And again, this is looking at the last 6 tournaments they played, pretty much what you see over here. And then you can really kind of narrow down on the putting. And what I picked from the putting side is, of course, overall strokes gained putting. The 5 to 10 foot range, which is typically always shows up huge in majors. I also wanted to pull the 15 to 20 in around the green. And then with the sand, the bunkers being what they are here, very difficult. And again, if you watch my preview show, I dove into that pretty deep. So you can see from a short game side, Rahm overall is winning this little battle. It's maybe the fairways game would be the only thing that you could kind of stand out. And I guess around the green, Scotty's got him by a little bit. But from the putting perspective and what we just saw at the AT&T Byron Nelson, and seen a bit of it even at the Dell Match Play, believe in it even at the Masters and RBC Heritage. I don't always go back to when Scotty won the Masters and 3-whacked it from literally like 2.5 feet. Again, I don't think he was spending a whole lot of time on that, but we've just seen a lot of missed putts with inside 5 feet with Scotty. So if I'm making a decision between Rahm and Scotty, for me, there's really no choice. It's pretty easy. I'm going to go with John Rahm, and you could probably see the ownership is right now showing that. And I'm also going to go in to projected ownership after this in weather. I don't think I even mentioned that, but I'm going to do that too for you guys. And then when we get into tens, now you got to decide between Rory, Colin, and Brooks. For me, right off the bat, again, I mentioned this on the preview show. The putting and around the green for Colin it's just been so bad, and you can see he's had 2 missed cuts. Wells Fargo, Arnold Palmer. Not a very good showing at the RBC Heritage where his game should lend. And let's go look at Colin a little deeper. I didn't do this for the first 2 guys because I think we all know pretty well, and you could see enough. But again, it's the putter that's been killing him. Around the green recently has really been bad. I wanted to look at the irons. So the Arnold Palmer and off the tee, he struggled pretty much everywhere there. His last good showings, the Century, the Farmers, the Genesis, where he gained with the putter, lost at the Waste Management. Again, I'm just showing this so you guys can kind of see what he's been doing over the last 7-8 tournaments, a little more larger. I remember when he was actually starting to pull his irons at the Arnold Palmer. That was interesting. But yeah, with all that said, I'm out on Colin now. Again, we've talked about this with elite ball strikers. If they have just an amazing putting week and around the green is better than usual, of course, he could definitely win this, saying he's won 2 majors, a PGA. I call it kind of his home course at Harding Park. And then also, of course, the Open, which kind of became more of just a scoring fest, and I talked about that in the preview show. Not typically how we see an Open. So no thank you for Colin. I also went into depth in the preview show about Rory, talking about his majors and what he's done, kind of split his kind of early career versus later career. And, the unique thing that I think that he actually is a member at this course, played it quite a bit during the COVID time. And my own personal opinion would be that he must be very familiar with it, even after the renovation. But we can see the fairways gain has been a little bit off. I talked about that in the preview show in depth. And then, of course, the putter also. His wedges, at least at the Wells Fargo, and I believe even the Masters, he's been struggling with kind of that 100 to 125 area. I put new wedges in for Wells Fargo that it did not work. He also put in a new putter. That blade I think he used for maybe a few tournaments, went back to the mallet. That did not work. So for me, kind of where I'm leaning is I'm going to probably build most of my lineups kind of skipping this 10 to 11K, in which allows me to play guys more than the high, the nines. And so you're going to notice I've got 4 guys in the 9,000 range. And that's kind of my trade-off, is that I think you can build using 2 of these guys minimum to kind of start your lineups, and you can kind of mix them around. So, Xander talked in length. He was the driver was kind of what his issue was early on, but that has been fixed. You can see that coming in with great form. Also, a lot of good finishes at the PGA. Missed a cut in 2021, but T13 at Southern Hills. Good showing at Harding Park in 2019. I don't know, let me think about that. Was that Kia Wild? It'd be 2021. Phil won it, right? But yeah, good showings. Always in majors, he's there, and it's going to take the full facet of game. And you can kind of see he's been on this. I mean, especially if you see the trend of a 39th at Arnold Palmer, 19th at the Players, a 10th at the Masters, so on and so forth. So I'm pretty excited about Xander. I think a lot of people are. I mean, the ownership's going to show that. So I don't think there's going to be any shockers. There's going to be a lot of love there. And that's a bit too, right? From a Milli-Maker perspective, I was also going to talk, that is what I am picking here for. So will I try to zig a little bit? I will not get on Morikawa, but I will play some Rory. And like I said, a lot of this is going to be ownership related at the top on where I make some stands. But right now, I'm giving you the guys that without really super worried about ownership, who I want to play. Patrick Cantlay. I kind of talked about this on the preview show. The guy's been so elite when it comes to bent greens. Actually ranked out, I believe it was over 36 rounds of golf, the #1 putter on bent greens. We can kind of trace back to when he won the Memorial at Jack's Place. It's had, decent finishes at the Masters. Had a T14 here recently. Had a chance to win back the year Tiger did. What was that, 2020? 19? Maybe 18. I forgot now. But anyways, so I am on these 2 guys. Also does everything here on the left category. This is what I need. I need guys to, hit it in the fairway. He hits that little fade. I like that. Again, the putter is doing well. And maybe the only thing you could call out is maybe a little bit around the green and sand saves. But you're not going to get, nobody's perfect. And so for what I'm seeing here, it's good enough. Jordan Spieth, I mean, right now the ownership's showing. I mean, I think everybody's terrified about that wrist, knowing how dense and thick this rough is. We still don't know if he's going to withdraw or not. I mentioned in the preview show that Michael Geller came in Monday, started to walk the course, scope it out. Jordan was supposed to come in that night or today and should be on property and taking some, he's supposed to be taking test swings out of that rough to figure out if he's going to play or not. But, of course, Jordan was in great form, and everybody was, pretty much guessing that he was going to win the Byron Nelson, his kind of home course, to say the least. And, of course, everybody's also hoping for that Cinderella story that he gets his, last major so that he has hit them all and has got the Grand Slam. So, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And I'm not going to be probably one to play or bet. Well, not bet, and I probably will not play him at all in DFS, even if he decides to play. All right, so then we get to Tony Finau, the master of what they say optimizing his schedule. And what I mean by that is, playing tournaments that maybe a weaker field, which I don't know why more guys don't do this, like even day before he won the Byron Nelson, which was a weaker field, but, why they're not playing like the Rocket Mortgage or even the Honda, courses that, they can still do well on and, are the top elite of that to get the win, to get the FedEx points, and of course the money. But that is what Tony Finau has been doing. Of course, you can see Tony's had some good finishes. Also at the PGA Championship, and typically does show up at the big events. The Masters, he had a T26, had good showings there. And of course, he won the Mexico Open, outdueling even Jon Rahm, who tried to hunt him down at the end. But you can see he's doing everything from a ball striking perspective. The putter would be the one issue, but also has a good around the green game. So for me, I'm going to play some Tony at 9,500. And then JT, I talked about also in the preview show, changing to that Aim Point Express. You can see, we'll go look at it real fast. I'm not going to make you go jump over there for this, but if we look at the putting, of course, he gained at Wells Fargo. The first time he put in the Aim Point Express, I mentioned at the Players, he lost, or was it like 5 strokes? And that was kind of the end of it for him, where he knew that he had to make some changes on, how he approaches the putting. And so with that said, I feel like he's probably a lot more confident in what he's doing with the putter. And with that, he should be good. You can see around the green is in sand saves. We all know is very elite. And if he's good with that kind of 100, 125 on like those par fives, those 600-yard par fives, he can be deadly. And typically, I don't have an issue with him with the 175 to 200, 200 plus. So that is interesting. That's kind of coming up not so great. And then of course the miscut at the Masters. He got that crappy draw, had to come out in like the most ridiculous weather and literally missed a putt. And if I remember right, that putt got like Tiger Woods in the field. So who knows how that worked out. But all right, kind of moving down. I'm going to pass on Cam Smith, even though his game, I mentioned on the previous show also that, he had a good showing at Tulsa. It seems like his live kind of events have been better. Of course, the Masters wasn't the best showing. He kind of talked about not really preparing as he typically does in the off season, kind of enjoying that money, he loves the fish and loves being on the water. So I think that took precedent, but his game's coming back. The only thing that would make me super nervous about playing Cam is him getting all over the yard. But I mean, if he's hitting fairways, watch out. Also, this is showing, which again, this is older data, so don't let this too much reflect. We don't know. We don't have stroke gain data from the live, but we can look at kind of finishes and what we saw at the Masters. Still very elite, right? One of the best with the putter and around the green. And, was pretty hot with the approach when he left to go over to the live tour. But again, as we saw at the Masters, wasn't exactly the same. But I expect that he'll do okay here. You're going to need to scramble. You're going to need to do those things. But I just don't know how much he'll hit the fairway. I just always think of those crazy lefts. And then he, overcompensates and ends up way right. Cam Young actually just got off the TV on the Golf Channel with a presser and, kind of lives somewhat similar. He was just kind of mentioning that this reminds him of home golf, what he grew up with. So I'm kind of leaning that I'm going to build some ball striking bomber lineups because, right, I keep going back to Winged Foot. I talked about that in the preview show where you had Matthew Wolff and Bryson at the time that, hit it so much further than everybody else that, yeah, even if they got in the rough, right, they're hitting a pitching wedge or a 9-iron, sand wedge, whatever it is, which you could still, go at the greens with those kind of clubs where other guys are probably hitting 7, 6-irons, depending where they hit it off the tee. So, we don't know that for sure, but again, the rough is going to be super dense, super heavy. And I think that could be an advantage for some of these guys. And now you could see the reason why I really didn't put him in my just 25 player pool was I've, watching him these last couple, events, and the putter has just been brutal. Also a little off on the fairways game, but you can see what's been going on here. Of course, he had that T3 last year coming in behind JT, Wilsey, Mito, but, was right there again at the thick of it. And then same with Victor Hovland. You can see just elite on everything we want. He's going to give himself opportunities, but the putter sometimes lets him down, as we know. Funny enough, you can see pretty good from that longer range. And typically with guys that we think of as not good putters, I was noticing this 15 to 20 foot range, we'll call it the lag putt, they're very good at, or they make, but it's this, inside 10 feet just causes issues. Around the greens where we're probably most, freaked out, but of course he's been putting a ton of time in that, learning different shots. He kind of related to, I was listening to one of his pressers, and I think it was a good metaphor or analogy, that if you play pool, and, typically what you learn in pool is how to follow the cue ball. So you can hit a shot, hit the cue ball on top, and you can always follow it. But a lot of people have, to put the English on it to make it come back, make it go lower right. He was kind of saying the same thing. A lot of his chips were all kind of like chip and run, and not be able to like one hit, one skip, and stop the ball at a different kind of, lies and rough. So all I was saying was his short game is getting better. Again, when I put my ball striker bomber lineups, or I would say more of the ball striker lineup, Victor Hovland will be in there. But again, if I put 20 Milli-Maker lineups in, Victor will be maybe in just a couple. I talked about Sun JM also, of course, winning over in Korea, flying back. There's the jet lag thing. But of course, this is when we think of, hey, guys, that we almost like robots that we want to get up on a tee, hit it 300 yards, hit the fairway 90% of the time, which you can see he's ranked 5th over the last 6 tournaments out of this field, and just it gives you a lot of opportunities. Now, again, I've watched him with the putter, can struggle, but he's also really good around the green, good with sand saves, just a bunch of top, better than top 10s, a 16th, and his best showing was last year at T17. So you could say maybe tournament history as of the, playing in majors of the PGA. Of course, he does not have a major yet, but this is a good spot for him where he might be able to tick one off. Jason Day, I thought about a little bit that maybe, but the more I just looked at, he is probably the closest you're going to get, especially at this price tag, to almost perfect in every stroke gain category over, again, the past 24 rounds or 6 tournaments he's played. The fairways game, which, he hit a lot of fairways at the Byron Nelson. That would be the only knock against him. But again, getting his first win in 5 years. He's also, of course, was won the PGA a ways back. Was ranked number 1 in the world. You're not going to talk about the history, but what we've seen is just all the good finishes. I think he's ranked in the world 30th, something like that. Almost was at 200. So I don't know. I just almost more around the putting and around the green is more where I like Jason Day. Even, he's got the ball striking too. So I just couldn't miss. Of course, I think DJ, I'm not curious where his ownership ends up. I would think he's going to be a little chalky. Like, really, if you think about it, I would think DJ, if I remember right, costs, well, I guess they were priced. Sorry, I think about for the Masters where DJ and Brooks were priced. I guess they were pretty similar. I was thinking DJ was more, but he's down to 8,800. Of course, coming off a recent win for the Tulsa Live event. Also, playing pretty decent golf. We also know what he's done. A lot of good showings in the PGA. And, this is, again, pulling up old data, so we can't really rely a lot on this. This would have been, I guess, the Masters was new, but other than that, well, the problem is we don't really get stroke gain data for the Masters, except maybe, trying to see here, maybe around the green would show up. A couple of these might, but not a lot of them. Anyway, so no thank you for DJ for me. I think he's going to be kind of I don't know, some people will probably jump on that bandwagon. We'll see. Funny enough, I think, which was going to be a little unique, I don't know how many people is going to go to Max. I mean, his best showing in a major was last year at the PGA. He talked in his presser that just came out also that he was fighting the swing, which I don't remember him talking about that at Augusta, which maybe he wouldn't, but he said his swing feels great. I was kind of back and forth on this. I mentioned in my previous show that I was getting to a point where I was only going to play Max when I knew that he was comfortable with the courses, hence the Wells Fargos, the Genesis, anything on POA. But the more I kind of thought about it, it just seems like a good fit. And again, maybe from every stroking category, again, like a Sunjay M, he almost, or even Jason Day, he fits everything that I'm looking for. A grind it out kind of guy. So I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to go hopefully get a little ownership discount on him. And I'm going to play a bit of Max Home at 8,700. Hideki, now I'm out on Hideki. I just watched too much of what's been going on with the driver, the two-way miss. And then, of course, when you get with Hideki, I mean, you can say, well, hey, he gained strokes at the Masters and won that on bent greens. But typically, the putting is going to get Hideki. He is really good around the green. I don't have any problem with that or sand. But I'm just kind of terrified of him, doing a mad scientist with different drivers as it's just not working out for him. Now, if he's found a driver that he is super confident in and comes out the first day and is hitting fairways left and right, then it could turn into a different show for Hideki. Terrell Hatton, of course, again, a good showing at the Byron Nelson, good at the Wells Fargo. It's done very well in the elevated events. This is technically an elevated event. Except for the Genesis. I stated this in the previous show. It seems like somehow everybody misses that, but his finishing at the Genesis, what was it here? Let me take a look. Yeah, a 40th. But other than that, it's been ridiculous. And that actually kind of makes sense from a course perspective. Can't play them all. Now, will I plug in Terrell Hatton here or there? Yeah, but yeah, I guess, like I said, the short of it is I wanted to play Fitzy. And if you look at, from a comparable models, you'd kind of say maybe T-Hat's got the upper hand, but I know what I've been seeing out of Fitzy's, the distance and hitting a ton of fairways. Also, I want him for the short game around the green a little more. The irons have been off and on, so like that Wells Fargo T35. Of course, he won at the RBC Heritage, and just the irons were in fuego. Could show at the Masters, but what I remember at Quail at Wells Fargo, that the last day his irons started to misfire, and it reminded me of kind of the early start of the year for him, where it was almost like he didn't know where his irons are going. So that's the tricky part. Definitely Terrell Hatton is right now, I would say, is better. Well, typically a better iron player, but yeah, I kind of fell on Fitzy again, maybe a little bit on the ownership discount. I think Lowry's actually gonna be a little. Everybody's like on this weather, it's gonna rain, but I think people forgot how bad Shane has played this year. And I'm talking more about the around the green and the putting. Like, he had an amazing 2022 Florida swing, and his Florida swing was trash. I mean, let's go dive into Shane Lowry a little more. And I'm a huge Shane Lowry fan. He made me a lot of money when he won the Open at, what was that, Portrush, I believe now. All right, let's go take a look at the Florida swing for him. So it wasn't a bad Honda, but Arnold Palmer was terrible. The Players, RBC, which, that wasn't the Florida swing, but it was a course that he contended last year. And a lot of it is all the putter. It's just been brutal. Now, if the putter, all of a sudden he's found it and he's good with it, then watch out, because he has been doing all the things we want on the left side from a ball striking perspective. And not saying that I might not plug him in here or there, but again, out of my top 20, he might make a lineup. Sammy Burns, another, as you guys know, I'm one of the big Sam Burns fans. I've watched him come up through the ranks all the way through. And back when, like I said, him and Gooch used to be 6,000 and had the fun times of getting to play those guys as your bottom guys and be like, I feel pretty comfortable. Of course, again, he's been good with the putter and around the green. The irons have been pretty suspicious. And then, of course, missing fairways. Now, he popped up at the Valspar. What you're not seeing there, again, if you don't watch golf all the time, of course, he won the WGC Dell Match Play, which is a very difficult thing to win. It's a ton of golf. He took on the best. I don't remember all his matches, but he outdueled Scotty Scheffler and won that. And then, of course, came out and just blitzkrieged Cam Young. I think it was like 6 birdies in the first 8 holes. So when Sam's going, watch out. But again, not going to make my top core plays. And again, will get sprinkled here or there, but won't be a majority of my ownership falling on him. So here you can just see the ball striking, which I've always said, the guy just can get wayward. And I like him at times where you don't get penalized as bad, but here you just get super penalized for being in a rough. So that's as short as that is. Tom Kim again, should have been a good fit at the AT&T Byron Nelson. I was off him, but I just said where I've got him pegged is for like the Wyndham where he's won, the Shriners where he's won, like easy score fest. And if the putter goes, his game tends that's where it's going to fit. Not too, I don't want to put him in just pigeonhole him as a Kevin Na, but there's some similarities there, except Kevin Na was a much better putter. But of course, from a ball striking, Tom Kim's better. But there were certain places where I felt like Kevin Na could win. And Tom Kim, for me, is kind of falling into that area. Tommy Fleetwood's still trying to get that first win in North America, and why not a PGA? Of course, he's had some good finishes. A T5 here not here, at Southern Hills. Again, a guy that will grind it out if the weather is a factor, if we're going down that road. Of course, I like Tommy, who came in right behind our buddy Lowry at the Open and battled with him. But yeah, he's doing everything. The putter's good. The round of green, like the guy's been playing great golf. 8,000, sure, give me some Tommy. Corey Connors, you're going to go into my Victor Hovland ball striking, lineup or two if I make, because again, just it all falls apart around the green. A putter, and of course these are bent greens. And let me just go look because I know his one positive is that Bermuda is typically, so yeah, is his best worst surface if you want to call it. I want to just see here. Let's just see if he's ever had a really good outing on bent greens. I know Bermuda he has because that's what he's won on. Nope, Bermuda. RBC Canadian. That could be bent. There we go. St. George's. Gained 2 strokes. And then there we go. Gained 4. I take that back. He gained 4.5. I was looking at RBC Heritage. So there's a one instance, but I guess those are pretty slow greens. But anyways, at least you could say he has done it on bent greens. So, yeah, I'll put him in there. Joaquin Niemann, you'll go right into, again, that Cameron Young kind of lineup for that elite off the tee. Again, the ball striking, but again, the short game. I don't think he's won a live event yet, which is kind of shocking. Adam Scott, you can see he's got some gaps. I think that fairway is gained. He's kind of got over that. The driver it's been more the irons have been rough, but of course he did show up at the Wells Fargo AT&T. Let's go see that. I want to see if he gained, how much he gained with the irons, because it was a definitely sore spot for a while. So yeah, he gained 4.5 with the irons and then gained 0.2. But here he was losing for 4 events in a row. Who knows? But that's been the one issue. And then the putter and around the green, all that's been good. Taylor Moore, 7,800, which is kind of crazy. But of course, he won at the Valspar. That felt like that just came out of nowhere because there was like the leaders, and now I'm forgetting who was right up there at the time. But he kind of came in the back door and won that thing. I actually like him. I played him early days in Showdown. Great game. You can see out of this field, he's been out of the last 6 tournaments he's played. Very elite with the putter. Pretty good ball striker, around the green, and sand save's not the greatest. So, definitely don't mind plugging him in here or there. But I'm actually going to go to Keegan. He just seems to show up in these kind of venues at these kind of like the northeastern region. 7,700. Had a T17 in 2020 at Kiowa. And the golf's been okay. Trying to think, he had a chance to win the Wells Fargo. Of course, he had the win across the seas, right, for the Zozo. That kind of was interesting. I don't know much about that course, so I'm not going to sit and pretend I do because it's over in Asia. But I do, funny enough, believe that is bent greens. Let me see if it says. Yeah, the Accordia Golf Narcino. They've been playing that course a while. I just don't remember watching a lot, especially because it's at, kind of an odd time to be able to watch that tournament. But, where I was going was I wanted to see what he did. Yeah, this Wells Fargo here, which was played at that TPC Potomac Avondale Farms. Hey, I didn't mess it up that time. That's why it kind of just sticks out in my brain that he could do also well here. And I mean, he's also had and actually he's won, right? Did he win a PGA Championship, if I recall, like right in the beginning of his career? Let's go take a look at that. Yep, right here, 2011. Where was that at? Atlanta Athletic Club. Okay. Yes, I wasn't watching golf as closely back in 12 years ago. Watched it, but do remember him winning that. Okay, Justin Rose again, not too far off, right? Got his kind of the rebirth win at Pebble Beach, and you can see everything's pretty solid and firing. I like that 7,700 price tag, pretty good value. Been playing really good golf, had a good showing at the Players. Showed up at Kiowa, and then Harding Park had a ninth, and then a 13th at Southern Hills. So I mean, really nice if you want to call PGA Championship history, not course history. Patrick Reed, I'm curious how many people would jump on this. I mean, again, the round the green stuff will come in handy. A couple of holes you do need to hit a draw. I mean, not that you can't fade it over a tree or whatever, but number one looks like it screams for a draw. Whenever I think of someone still hits the draw on the PGA Tour, I think of Patrick Reed. But yeah, no, I'm out. I think this is again going to be kind of interesting because he had such a good showing at the Masters. Will he rise again? Now, I'm not a live tour hater purely because I am wanting to play some Taylor Gooch, and I mentioned this also. I thought of him the more I looked at his skills. Really good with the long approaches. Always was. I think the off the tee, of course, he's got that back-to-back wins. Australia and then somewhere over in Asia for the Live Tour. And maybe not as good at the Tulsa. I think we end up like a 35th or something like that for the Live Tour. But we know he's in good form and what he does very well. Even though, funny enough, his one win was not where I pegged him, was at the RSM Classic. You don't need to hit a lot of 200 plus shots there. Maybe just in par fives, you're trying to hit him in two. But I've always thought of him as a really good long iron ball striker. So I'm kind of curious to play some Gooch. I would almost would have probably played him even without the Live Tour recent success. So we'll see. I'm not on Ricky just because. I mean, honestly, you can make an argument. I mean, look at his current form. I don't know. I just have a feeling, and I've told you guys, I just get those gut feelings about guys I want to play, and I don't. I just think it's going to be a bad week for Ricky, and that's that. Now, maybe it goes totally opposite. You can see a couple of good finishes at the PGA, not too far off. So I don't know. That's my deep analysis on Ricky. I mean, you can see, of course, he's been struggling a little bit there. Fairways gained off the tee. I think he's actually been driving the ball pretty well. The putters, kind of come back to form. So there's a lot of reasons why you want to play Ricky. This is more of me also just have to make a call. And I'm going to go ahead and stand and say no. I'm going to go to Abraham Answer again, another Live Tour guy, but the guy this guy will fit probably into my builds of where I want the guys that hit the fairways, good with the long approaches, and can be very good with the putter. The short game, as you can see, can be a little suspicious. Now, I didn't even go do a ton of analysis on how he's been doing on the Live Tour, but when I think of guys that I know hit it 280, 290, hit a ton of fairways, I think of Abe Answer. Yeah, I mean, you can see 74% accurate. There's not too many more. And funny enough, at least while during his PGA time, Bent was almost one of his best putting surfaces. I mean, this is going back, I guess we got the Masters recently. Before that, we had the Open, the PGA Championship at Southern Hills. Just trying to remember now, Mayakoba, decent FedEx Cup, I guess. All right, Wyndham Clark, of course, coming off the win at the Wells Fargo. Again, he'll fit in my bomber kind of ball striker lineup. But of course, been playing good golf. I don't know, just again, got to make some calls. Can't pick everybody. Thomas Detry, thank you. When's this last time he played? I guess he played RBC Heritage. I don't remember there. Like he's just been kind of out of sight. In my brain, literally after Thomas Peters went to the Live Tour, I was just expecting Thomas Detry to go join him there. Went to college together, played at Illinois, and just shocked that he hasn't done that. Cam Davis, who knows? That's all I can say. I mean, you could see this. Was a terrible start to the 2023 season, and now the guy will miscut T6, miscut T7. So technically on this run that he's been on, he should have a good outing. And so I've always said he can outscore his points. So maybe I'll play some Cam. DeChambeau, no thank you. He's going through this, transformation reverse. And I just have no idea what that guy's doing from a golf perspective. So I just have to pass. Funny enough, Denny McCarthy, I'm actually kind of interested in playing. And, the ball striking has gotten better. Of course, he's just, one of the better putters, been a good around the green. Been really showing life. So 7,400, I think that could be kind of a change up. Again, that'll probably be going in a lineup with the Abe Answer. I don't know who else who I think would fit that. I guess even Justin Rose for not super long, hits a lot of greens or a lot of fairways, good putter. So I'm kind of building those, and then I do have my Agrio. I've got he's been playing pretty good golf at 7,300. Giving me the great ball striking, and again, he would go into the ball striker lineup if I want to play like a Hovland, Grio, even not Morikawa, but maybe Russ Henley even, because I still think of Russ as a good putter, and he hasn't been really that great of a putter, but he just had a run for a while that when I was just kind of on him and betting him and winning with him. But you see another guy that would fit like the Abe Answer that just hits a ton of fairways. He also, not this event, of course, he showed up at the Masters, which he was one of my picks there too, which really didn't fit like what you're looking for at the Masters, but for the price tag, I was kind of all over it. So that was Ben Green's. Again, he did prove. We don't have putting stats at the Augusta. Thank you, Augusta, that you won't let shot link data in. Like some things that Augusta does, it just kind of pisses me off. Of course, he won at the Worldwide Tech. Yeah, so the putter was at least coming back a little bit, but you can see he had a run here. It was pretty bad. He had a run was pretty good. So he's pretty streaky with that putter. But if it's on, he hits one of the better iron players on the tour as far as I'm concerned. Paul Casey would love, like I said, I would talk to this in the previous show. I think it's a perfect fit for Paul Casey, but I just have no idea where that guy's game at. But what he does, used to, hit, pretty good distance accuracy with the drive, awesome, like a gooch in that out 200-yard area. The putter would be a kind of a chink in armor. Around the green, I didn't feel like it was that bad, but what it's showing. Brendan Todd, if I do play that kind of plotters lineup, already had a good showing at the Wells Fargo, which really that course should not fit him. If I remember correctly, I think he did a lot with the putter. Like he went nuts. He gained 8 strokes on those Bermuda greens. Lost over 4 off the tee. Gained a little with the iron. So that was just a putting festivus. So don't let that fool you. He's not that good of a putter, but he is a good putter. Tara Montgomery, that's about all he's been doing. And, he's been wayward with the driver, and you're not going to get away with that. The Horgaard brothers I saw are both like Nikolais and Rasmus. They could, plug into that bomber lineup for me. Billy Ho, just been a bad 2023. And not jumping on that, man. With Lee, I, for whatever reason, got on you for the Byron Nelson, and that was a mistake, missed a cut. You can see it's been a disaster, except for that out of nowhere, he just showed up for the players. Harris English been playing better golf. Showed up at Arnold Palmer's, Wells Fargo, tough courses. I've always said the bang for the buck for one of the better ball strikers, putters, like it's Harris English. He looks gumpy. No one likes to play him. But literally, the guy won a tournament of champions against some of the best players. He also won the Travelers would be the last one in that playoff against Kramer Hickok. Let's go look at this real quick. Won some of the, if you want to call it, the Ocean or whatever, the Swing. St. Jude, though, is not. Yeah, I mean, he showed up at some tough U.S. Open. He can get around some tough tracks. And I don't know. I kind of like him. It just won me money in the past. So there you go. Seabez, I mean, if you're looking for that kind of all around the green, I mean, we talked about him for the Byron Nelson. It wasn't a terrible showing. But what I know about Seabez, and I probably should have, I don't know if I honestly don't remember if I picked him last week, but I don't feel like he can go low enough to win like a Byron Nelson or a Shriners or whatever. Kitayama, of course, won the Arnold Palmer, has not done things since. Webb Simpson at Wells Fargo, his home course, at least made the cut, but that's about it. And, he does do these things well here, but everything else has not been good. And I mean, once he kind of lost his short game in a putter, Webb was not going to be effective. Davis Riley, no thank you. You got your win at the Zurich. Congrats. I'm actually going to go to Gary Woodland. I mean, he's been just playing really good golf. Now you're going to see over here, it's just, as we know with Gary, around the green putter. But when he won, of course, the U.S. Open, right, at Pebble Beach, that was the one, thing he actually did do. So if that clicks and you see what he's been doing from a ball striking perspective, watch out. Again, he'll get plugged into my ball striker lineup with, like, again, the Griots and the Hovlands and whatnot. Killer Keith, no. I don't know. I just haven't even thought about him, to be honest. Just kind of out of, I mean, yeah, all of this has been pretty bad. I watched him quite a bit with, who was he paired up with at, Sanjay M at the Dell Match Play. No, not the Dell Match Play. For the Zurich, and just watched him kind of like just riding poor old Sanjay M's back and just So no, I think that was enough to make me say no. I think Siwoo Kim could be interesting. I might sprinkle him in the ball striker lineup. He's actually, pretty good around the green. It's the putter, and then also if he, stays with it mentally. All right, I'm gonna move the rest of this pretty quick because I don't really have too many more guys down here. Um, Herbert, no, you can get so far wayward. Where did he show up out of nowhere? Oh, like the Dell match play. Funny enough, shocked how well he did there. Phil Mickelson, that's going to be if literally. I'm just going to tell you guys if somehow Phil Mickelson wins this event, I will retire doing this. I couldn't live through it again after he won out of nowhere the PGA Championship a couple years back with just no form. People and I like you try to like hang on to something like, well, he won 2 champions events. Well, that they were just wide open courses, and that time Phil could not hit a fairway. They know he led the Wells Fargo, yeah, but he ended up dead last after making the cut. So he went from 7 under to 7 over. So I'm not hating on Phil. I have my own bias. I have never been a fan of Phil my whole entire life. So it's not jumping off because of Liv. It's just that's been me. And not that I was a huge Tiger fan. I've just never been a Phil fan. And you can see it kind of hits a nerve. But yeah, the guy just again with the Masters, that was just mind blowing. But I've got to put it back to is there's any course that Phil could focus and actually do that on is Augusta. Now, if he comes here and top 10s are better, then I'm just going to say, you know what? When Phil wants to play, Phil can play. The guy is smart, and I know how well he knows what he's doing with the ball, all the different angles, everything he takes into consideration for every shot is crazy. Yeah, I'm just going to have to say no. That was really long-winded. Seamus Power kind of showing up a little bit of golf. Not a bad showing at the Byron Nelson. It was kind of a slow start, but made the cut and then, did pretty well on the weekend. JJ Spawn, if you want a plotter, if you want someone that's going to hit a lot of fairways and hope the putter goes, again, I think of him because of his win at Valero, does better on Bermuda. Mito Piero, I'm trying to think if I bet him early on. I forgot my betting card now, but he could be interested, of course, right? I mean, had a chance to win last year. You see the putter is where the issue is around the green. But then again, this is information, which is not too far off. I mean, to the CJ Cup, not super bad for data. Chris Kirk, again, fits in that kind of plotter. I'm actually going to take a flyer on Aaron Wise. Here's my 6,900 play. Of course, he won the Byron Nelson a long time ago. Now, the AT&T Byron Nelson did not look great, but you can see he's had a pretty good showing at the PGA, and this is all about the price tag. If I can get Aaron Wise to get me, I don't know, a 30th place finish at that price tag, it'd be well worth it. And funny enough, this is the craziest thing. If you know Aaron Wise, this should be all green over here, and this should be all red over here. Now, again, right, he had that little bit of break, the mental break, which he probably needed because literally the guy has always been an elite ball striker, not an elite putter on a green. So, I mean, you can look at this chunk of ball striking data, not good. Now, we look at the Byron Nelson. He did gain off tee. Irons are just been a disaster, but he, I think, was one of the better iron players. So I'm waiting for that to turn. But, the putter's been doing well. Around the green's been doing well. And like I said, if we go look at what we're used to seeing out of him, this is all green, and this would be red. And, that's pretty much the history of him. I mean, let's go up here and look. There's probably a better way to illustrate it. So like last 10 events, but this is what I'm used to. I mean, over 131 events, the guy gains off the tee, gains with the irons, not terrible on the green, typically lose with the putter. But somehow that's been flipped. So we'll see. I'm going to take a flyer on that. It could be just a blow up, but I'm going to put some lineups with him. Dean Burmeister, of course, live guy, just really has one talent. That's a lot of length off the tee. Bobby Mack, I think, actually had some good showings over on the DP World Tour. Didn't win, but playing pretty decent there. Just like on Draftkings, when you look him up, you'll see what he's done on the live, or not the live, did I say it? The DP World Tour. He's not on the live tour. Sorry, I got the live on my mind. So, not hating on him. Had an okay Masters. Hadwin, no, just not been a good showing. McNeely, no. All he's been doing is putting. Funny enough, I thought I picked Hoagie. Oh, I swear, around the green and sand saves. It's also been kind of volatile. I don't know. I think I'd want him in an iron fest. And I'm not sure if that's what this is. I mean, you got to be good with the irons, but I think it's more about hitting fairways, which he does. Decent with the irons. I don't know. I'm just terrified if he gets off the green. And he's now actually, the putting, I think, is even worse than what it's showing here. Funny enough, I told you guys on the previous show I bet Kuchar. I'm not a huge Kuchar guy. I don't mind him. He's just not a guy that I like to play. He's not super sexy. You see, he ranks 10th in my model. But man, when I started to sit and think about, okay, when I saw what this sand, you can see what he's been doing around the green and sand. It's inevitable. You're going to end up in the sand, and you're not going to hit every green. There's no way. Not how this rough, not how long the course is, especially if we get the wind and the weather. So then I'm like, okay, give me guys that I know are usually always hitting the fairway, pretty good from a distance. Now it's not showing here at the 200 plus, but typically you hit those hybrids okay. Yeah, for 6,900, I'm going to be playing quite a bit of Kuchar. Definitely over a Pendrith, who, like we said, typically just has one asset. That's the length off the tee. Mackenzie Hughes, which was a pick for my Byron Nelson, and it almost came to fruition. He went in with the lead on Saturday and had just a bad Saturday. All those guys did. If you look at that group that I think were paired together, you had Palmer, Scheffler, and Hughes, I think, if I remember this right. And they all just stunk it up. So I don't know, some bad mojo going in that threesome. Thomas Peter on the Live Tour, you know, you could make an argument. Maybe in that bomber squad, I would think about playing him. Molinari, no thank you. Again, would fit in that little plotter, kind of hit a lot of fairways. Lahiri, nope. And then pretty much, I don't know if I've got anyone else below Wise. Adrian Meronk, I mentioned one, that Italian Open on the DP World Tour. Matty Wallace, like what happened there already? Won Corrales. Had an okay show at the Valero where he's actually had a chance to win like a couple of years before that. And it's just been really bad. Like, I don't know what happened. He gets his win and just goes to his head. Brendan Steele, remember that's Live. Before the Live, he was just awesome ball striker, terrible around the greens, putting. Kind of the same thing with HV3. All right, I guess I had these guys identified. I forgot down in the sixes. So the guys that I'm playing from a cheapie play, I guess the way to put it, Hayden Buckley, Mark Hubbard, and Svensson. I think out of all of them, which you could see, I put a bet on Svensson. I think I even bet him top 10. The guy's been actually, when I mentioned like define perfect, if you look at the last 6 tournaments, he's doing everything you want. He's putting amazing enough. That's typically where he struggles, but he's been good around the green. He's always been an elite iron player. So yeah, I think this is probably the best value we're getting. Now, right now, his ownership is showing at 3.5. I'll be shocked if that's where it ends up, but maybe some guys just don't have to go down there. But if you're building some heavy top-end lineups, I'll play a lot of Svensson, and it could blow up in my face. But pretty solid golf. Already had his first win at RSM. Is that where it was? Where DeGooch won? Let me see here. Where was that? Yeah, the RSM Classic. Gained 9 strokes, and people say, "Oh, well, that's how he won." Well, yeah, but he still hit it well. That is pretty rare. He does typically on Bermuda show up a little better than Bent. But I'm on Svensson. I like Hubbard, kind of the same thing. A lot of it, it's just guys that I know hit a lot of fairways, could hopefully manage their way. Just get me into the weekend. All these guys, like I said, Rasmus Højgaard, right, distance. Ryan Fox, distance off the tee. A couple of European dudes all down here. Nick Taylor, never play a 6,500 I like, right? Had this shot to win, which is, I don't think, coming up here. The Waste Management this year, I think, came in second behind Scotty still, and I even towards the very, very end had a chance to win that thing. Yeah. Gained 7 strokes with the putter, but good everywhere. Wright's got his victories at Pebble Beach, outdueled my buddy Phil the Thrill. Let's take a look at this here. Yep. And Sanderson Farms, which I forget that because that's a long time ago, but that's a long track, tight track. I mean, again, I think Nick Taylor, 6,500 is a good play there. Molinex, nope. I can't have you spraying it all over the lot. Thurston Howell the third, no thank you. So I think that's it. Nobody else down here. Oh wait. We got one last. I apologize. Ches Reavie. And this is for sure my last, because then you get into all the PGA pros that we don't really have a lot of data on. And just kind of those guys are there just to see who can do the best out of those guys. Ches Reavie, funny enough, I wanted to point him out. Again, that 200 yards out, he hits a ridiculous amount. Let me see here. He's 27th in my model ranking. Yeah, 288, hits a ton of fairways. The putter is typically just a disaster. Well, I should have done that because actually he has been putting a little bit lately. Well, not lately. The last 5 rounds, he's been gaining strokes on the field with the putter. Good showing at Valero RBC. Kind of a sneaky play. I mean, less than 1% owned. I think it's something I'm interested in. It's actually showed up at some PGAs in the past. So let it be heard. I think I actually even bet this guy, I think like top 20 or something ridiculous like that. I don't know. But Ches Reavie, man, the Le Ches Reavie is it. And that is all of my picks. So let me summarize this for you guys and then get you out of here. All right, so my top 25 plays again. I'm kind of skipping the top range. Now, again, this is from a Milli-Maker perspective. This is not for a cash game kind of lineup. But where I'm going to try to build a lot of my builds is going to be kind of piling at least two of these 9,000s together. So that's between JT, Tony, Cantlay, and Xander. And then kind of leveraging that I have, the nines, that I have some more wiggle room, and probably won't have to play as many sixes. So that's kind of the way that I'm going to be leaning on this. I also told you I'm going to build by skill sets. So, the more of it, there's not really a bomber lineup per se, but it's going to be the ball striker lineup. And then there's going to be the guys that I know hit fairways, good around the greens, like a Matt Kuchar kind of lineup. All right. And with all that said, I'll give you my top 25 guys. And Xander, Patrick Cantlay, Tony Finau, JT, Sanjay M, Jason Day, Max Homa, Fitzy, Tommy Fleetwood, Keegan Bradley, Justin Rose, Taylor Gooch. So I got a couple live guys here. Abraham Answer. No, I'm not playing DJ. I'm not playing Brooks. Denny McCarthy, Emiliano Grillo, Russell Henley, Harris English, Gary Woodland, Aaron Wise, which I would say all of them, that's probably the one pretty much guaranteed to miscut, but we'll see. If that works out, I think it'd be a huge change, or at least a good pivot. Kuchar, Hayden Buckley, Hubbard, Adam Svensson, I think one of the best values on the board, my own personal opinion. Put Nick Taylor right with that, and then even Ches Reavie could be that sneaky play of the Milli-Maker if somehow he ends up top 10ing. I don't think a lot of people are going to have that, and that could end up tilting the money your way, I guess, best way to put it. All right, real quick, I almost forgot to show you guys ownership, so let me update this real fast. And if you're curious right now, highest ownership is Xander and Jon Rahm, no shocker there. And if you see the star, those are my picks, so you can kind of reference. Finau's coming in third at 17. You got Hatton, Wyndham Clark. That's kind of interesting. People are pretty ballsy with Wyndham Clark. But we'll see. The guy's been playing great golf, so if that carries over, where he goes. Ricky Fowler, who I'm off. A little more of a gut play than it is anything I could really give you from analysis side. Just something's telling me don't play Ricky this week. Patrick Cantlay at 14.5. Scotty Scheffler at 14. Fleetwood, I like that play. M, Fitzy, Woodland, and JT all are kind of falling in at 13 plus. DJ coming in at 12. One of my plays, Justin Rose at 12. A little chalky. Homa. That'd be a little bit of a pivot there at 11%. The Gooch at 10. And I bet you that would have been a lot less if you didn't have those two Live Tour events. And I probably would have played him either way because I said I think this fits his skill set. You got Keegan, who typically does well in the Northeast. Jason Day coming off a win, which, I don't know, maybe that bites us if you go with the old theory of, you can't win the next weekend. I'm not looking for Jason to win this. I'm looking for him to give me a top 10 for that price tag. Russ Henley coming at 7.5%. And just trying to see in this bulk of guys. Mito, I kind of like. Cam Davis, kind of interesting. Hayden Buckley at 6.7. You got the Cooch coming in at 5.7. McCarthy and Grillo. All my picks around 5%. Abe Answer, so there's a good pivot play at less than 4%. Then you got Harris English, another good pivot play, less than 4. I like both of those. I told you one of the best values I perceive, I think, is Adam Svensson at 6,600. I got Mark Hubbard and then Nick Taylor at 65, less than 3%. And then see here, Aaron Wise, about 1%, and Ches Reavie, he scooted up a little bit, but both of those I like. And I'm trying to see if there's anybody else. No love for Phil, man. After he almost won the Masters, I can't believe it. At 0.6 right now. So for all you Phil lovers, if you want to jump on that bandwagon, have it. I think that's it. That gives you a good understanding where ownership's falling, especially in the top area. All right, let's jump out of here and wrap this thing up for you guys. All right, with all that said, as always, thank you so much for spending some time with me. And if you do me the honor, click that like button, share this with anyone else that might be interested. If they are putting some money, maybe they just come out for the majors to bet on DFS. I'm their guy to help them out with that. And also hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. And as always, follow me on Twitter at DFS Golf Guru. I'll keep you updated on everything I see from the PGA, anything on the tournament, withdrawals, whatever you need to know before we go live, that you have that information. All right, guys, have an amazing PGA